I was sent into a psychiatric evaluation room on my wedding day by my fiancé and by my parents. Together, they planned to announce to everyone that I was mentally unstable, cancel the wedding on the spot, and take control of all my assets. Before that, he had already been using my trust fund to book honeymoons and buy luxury gifts for his mistress. My parents knew. They allowed it. They even personally delivered me to a private sanatorium, forced me to sign papers, apologize, and pretend to be unhinged. Everyone believed I had been tamed. What they didn't know was this. Hidden inside the prenuptial agreement I signed was a landmine, and every day I bowed my head and admitted fault. I was collecting evidence. When the wedding turned into a trial, I pressed a button and let the truth explode inside the church. That wasn't me running away from marriage. That was a counterattack. I found out for the first time while trying on a veil at a bridal boutique. My phone screen lit up with a new email preview. Maldives private island reservation confirmation. To Ms. Sophia Lynn and Mr. Lucas Grant. Honeymoon suite reserved. Check-in available the day after the wedding. My fingers froze in my hair. My scalp prickled. The sales associate was still smiling brightly. This veil looks absolutely perfect with your gown, Miss Turner. I opened the email. Payment account, Turner Family Trust. Sub-account 3 amount, 128000. Booked by Lucas Grant, my fiancé. Guest, Sophia Lynn, his close friend. Date, the day after my wedding. Evelyn. Lucas stepped out of the fitting room. He was wearing a custom black tuxedo, movie star handsome. In 3 weeks, he was supposed to be my husband. I turned my phone toward him. He glanced at it and smiled. Oh, that. He adjusted his cufflinks, tone as casual as if he were commenting on the weather. Sophia's always wanted to go to the Maldives. Since we're honeymooning in Europe, the island would have been empty anyway. Our honeymoon isn't in the Maldives, I said quietly. Exactly. So I let her use it. He walked over and rested a hand on my shoulder. Don't be petty, Evelyn. You know how important Sophia is to me. In the mirror, my face looked paper white. His smile was flawless. I'm your fiancé, I said. Of course you are. He leaned down and winked at my reflection. But you're safe, Evelyn. Being with you is comfortable. There's just no challenge. Sophia's different. She's fire, safe. 7 years of knowing each other, 5 years of dating, 2 years engaged, reduced to safe, like an old pair of house slippers, comfortable, but not something you'd wear outside. So, my throat tightened. You used my trust fund to book a honeymoon trip for her? It's our trust fund, he corrected. Once we're married, it's joint property. What's wrong with using some of it early? The sales associate quietly stepped away. I pulled up the account records. It wasn't just the Maldives. Over the past 6 months, withdrawals from the same sub-account included Ritz Paris Executive Suite, 3 nights under Sophia's name, Amalfi Coast private yacht rental Sophia's birthday week, a custom Patek Philippe ladies watch, engraved, to S. My Forever L, total, for 7,000, all from the trust fund my mother had left me before she died, all spent on another woman. I called the family attorney who managed my trust, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson, I said, gripping my phone, why does Lucas have access to my trust sub-account? There was a 2-second pause on the other end. Miss Turner, he replied evenly, according to the trust provisions, your spouse or intended spouse has authorized spending limits in certain categories. This was stipulated when your father established the trust, so he can freely spend my money supporting his mistress. Technically, Ms. Lynn is listed as a personal associate, Anderson said, voice as flat as a legal textbook. The expenses fall under the gifts and travel category, which is within the authorized scope. And since you're about to marry Mr. Grant, his financial behavior partially represents you. Represents me? I laughed, tears spilling over. Represents me buying my own humiliation? I suggest you discuss this directly with your fiancé, he said. And for the record, your father is aware of these expenditures. The call ended. I sat in the boutique's ornate fitting room, staring at my reflection in a wedding dress. I looked like an expensive joke. At 4 p.m., another email arrived from Sophia Lynn, subject. Thank you for your generosity. Dear Evelyn, I know this must be hard for you to accept. Please believe me when I say I never intended to hurt you. True love sometimes arrives in unexpected ways. Lucas told me you're a generous girl. Thank you for understanding the special connection between us. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the wedding. And of course, I'll be waiting for you in the Maldives after your honeymoon. Maybe we can have coffee together. Your friend, Sophia? There was an attachment, a selfie. She was standing on the terrace of the honeymoon suite in the Maldives, wearing a white bathrobe and holding a champagne flute. Draped over a chair behind her was a gray cashmere sweater, Lucas's. My fingers dug into my palm, leaving crescent-shaped marks. So this wasn't a failed romance. It was a carefully planned robbery, and my love, my trust, my money, they were the targets. That night, I confronted my father. He was in his study, reviewing quarterly reports, gold-rimmed glasses sliding down his nose. "Dad," I said, "I want to postpone the wedding." He looked up briefly, then back down at the spreadsheets. "Don't be emotional. The date's already public. Lucas spent nearly $500,000 from my trust on Sophia," I said, placing printed statements on his desk. "He also told me I'm just the safe option. She's the one he loves." My father took off his glasses and rubbed his temples. "Evelyn, you're 25. You should understand how the world works," he said tiredly. "Men tend to indulge a little before marriage. It settles down afterward." Indulge. I stared at him. "He's using my money to keep another woman. So what?" My father snapped. "Do you have any idea how much this alliance with the Grant family will save our company? We lost $24 million last year, without their capital injection. This house will be collateral by this time next year." I froze. "So, you knew?" My voice shook. He avoided my eyes. At that moment, my mother walked in, holding a document. "Sign this." "Evelyn," she said, sliding it toward me. "Prenuptial asset waiver and consolidation agreement. The Grants requested it," she said gently, though her eyes were firm. "After the wedding, all your personal assets including the trust, properties, and shares will be jointly managed with Lucas. It's for family stability, and if I don't sign..." My parents exchanged a look. "Then the wedding is off," my father said coldly, "and the family will reconsider your inheritance. Your brother may be young, but he's better suited to managing the future of the business." My brother? The one who hadn't even made it into college. 2 days later was the monthly family board meeting. I was allowed to attend but not to speak. A new privilege reserved for a daughter about to be married. One agenda item: the handling of my 5% stake in the family company after Evelyn marries. It would be best if Lucas votes her shares by proxy, my uncle suggested. A woman should focus on her household after marriage. I agree. My aunt chimed in. The Grant family has far more business experience. No objections, my father said. The motion passed unanimously. I sat at the end of the long table, looking at familiar faces. These were the people who once held me as a child, praised my intelligence, called me their pride. Now they stripped me of my voice as calmly as pruning dead branches from a flower. That evening, Lucas came to comfort me. He brought lilies, my favorite, but the scent made me nauseous. "I hear you've been acting out," he said, sitting on my bed and patting my head like a child. "Don't be like Sophia, always competing for attention. You're the wife. You need a wife's dignity." The wife? I suddenly remembered the stuffed birds I'd seen in a museum as a kid, pinned to a display board, beautiful feathers, but never able to fly again. "Then what am I to you?" I asked. "You're my legal wife, the future mother of my children, the public face of the Grant family." He smiled. "And Sophia, she's my passion. You're different. Both can exist." He said it so naturally, as if I were the couch in the living room, and she the bed in the bedroom, both furniture, just for different purposes. And in that moment, I understood. In everyone's eyes, my family, my fiancé, even myself. Once, my value was determined by one thing: who I married. If I didn't marry well, I had no value at all, like an item on a shelf, priced by what someone was willing to pay. At 2 a.m, I slipped barefoot into my father's study. I opened the safe using a password I'd memorized weeks ago. Inside were the originals, the trust agreement, corporate shared documents, and the legal addendums tied to my engagement with Lucas. I photographed every page. My hands were shaking. My mind was ice cold. Back in my room, I pulled a package from the back of my closet. Delivered just a week earlier. Paid in cash, no sender, a palm-sized encrypted hard drive. I transferred every photo onto it and set 3 layers of passwords. First password: no longer safe. Second password: I am not furniture. Third password: pending. Maybe when I found myself again, I'd know what to write. Outside, rain began to fall. I listened to it and remembered the first party where I met Lucas, 7 years ago. He'd crossed the room toward me, eyes bright like stars. "You're special, Evelyn," he'd said. Now I knew the full sentence. "You're special, especially easy to fool. When a heart dies, it makes no sound. Only rain tapping against glass, like applause for a funeral." I decided to leave. The wedding was 19 days away. I needed time to think. I needed to get out of a house where everyone wanted to nail me to a marriage cross. At 3 a.m., I dragged a small suitcase downstairs. Inside it, my passport, cash, the encrypted drive, and 2 changes of clothes. The car keys sat in a dish by the door. I reached for them. The living room light snapped on. My father stood at the top of the stairs in his robe, face iron hard. Behind him were 2 men in white coats, not doctors' coats. Thicker, more like uniforms. "Where are you going, Evelyn?" His voice was cold. "I just need some air." I tried to hide the suitcase behind me. "With your passport?" He came down the stairs. "You've been emotionally unstable lately. We're worried about you." My mother rushed in behind him. Eyes swollen, she'd clearly been crying. "Evelyn, please don't do this." She grabbed my hand. "The invitations are already out. The media's reported on the wedding. If you leave now, the entire family will become a joke. So my happiness doesn't matter." I asked. "My feelings don't matter? Happiness?" My father sneered. "You think happiness is love? Let me tell you what happiness is. It's the number in your bank account. It's social standing. It's your future children getting into the best schools. Love, that's a fairy tale poor people tell themselves." The men in white coats stepped forward. "Miss Turner," the taller one said, "we're evaluators from Pinewood Psychiatric Center. Your family is concerned you may be experiencing acute stress disorder. We're here for a preliminary assessment." "I'm not sick." I backed away. "Everyone says that." The shorter one said, pulling out a tablet, "Please cooperate. This won't take long." They took my phone, my passport, my wallet, my suitcase. My mother kept crying. "I'm sorry, Evelyn. I'm so sorry. This is for your own good." My father didn't look at me. I was led into a black car. The windows were tinted so dark you couldn't see inside. Pinewood sat on the outskirts of the city. It looked less like a hospital than a luxury prison. The evaluation room had 1 table, 2 chairs, and a massive one-way mirror. I knew someone was watching from behind it. The doctor began asking questions. "Do you often feel betrayed? Do you believe your fiancé doesn't love you? Have you had thoughts of harming yourself or others?" I denied everything. Then the door opened. Sophia walked in. She was wearing a Chanel suit, carrying a Hermes bag, as if she were attending afternoon tea. "Doctor, may I observe?" she asked sweetly. "As Lucas's close friend, I'm very concerned about Evelyn." The doctor glanced at the one-way mirror, seemed to receive permission, and nodded. Sophia sat on the sofa in the corner, crossed her legs, and began applying hand cream. Lavender filled the room. The doctor continued, "Do you feel your family doesn't care about your emotions?" I looked at the mirror. I knew my parents were behind it. "No," I said calmly. "My family loves me very much. They just love me in their own way." "Then why did you try to run away?" "I wasn't running away." I smiled. "I was overwhelmed. I needed a break. I'm ready to get married. Becoming Lucas's wife is my greatest wish." The doctor wrote something down. Sophia laughed softly, very softly, but I heard it before the evaluation ended. The doctor handed me a document, "Voluntary consent for psychological observation and counseling. Sign this," he said. "You'll stay here for 3 days, just observation. Then you can go home and prepare for the wedding." I looked at the one-way mirror. I knew that if I didn't sign, I might never leave. I signed carefully, neatly, like a grade schooler practicing cursive. "Evelyn Marie Turner." The pen pierced the paper on the last stroke. That night, I stayed in the bathroom for a long time. The person in the mirror had red, swollen eyes and a pale face, but something was burning behind them. I practiced smiling, lips curved upward, eyes soft, like family portraits from childhood. But the eyes in the mirror were cold, like a frozen lake. I told myself, from today on, you have only yourself. Your father is not a father. He is a business partner. Your mother is not a mother. She is a negotiator. Your fiancé is not a lover. He is a thief. And you are not a victim. You are a survivor. And then, you will become the one who strikes back. I turned on the faucet and splashed cold water on my face. It was icy. It woke me up. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. A nurse came in with medication. I swallowed the small white pill and hid it under my tongue. When she left, I spat it into the toilet and flushed. The whirlpool swallowed it whole, along with the last trace of my innocence. 3 days later, I was declared recovered. The family's public relations director, Emily Carter, was waiting for me in the car. "This is the video script you'll release tonight," she said, handing me an iPad. "Memorize it. You need to project sincere remorse." I took it. The title read, Public Apology Regarding Recent Emotional Distress. The script began, I, Evelyn Turner, due to overwhelming pre-wedding stress, experienced emotional instability that caused unnecessary misunderstanding and distress to my fiancé, Lucas Grant, and his close friend, Ms. Sophia Lynn. I sincerely apologize and will actively seek professional counseling. I fully trust and deeply love my fiancé and look forward to becoming his wife. Every word felt like a needle driven into my eyes. You should cry, Emily instructed, but don't ruin your makeup. Tears pooling in the eyes are best. Your voice should tremble, but stay clear, vulnerable, yet reforming. We recorded it 17 times until my performance was flawless. Slightly shaking lips, reddened eyes, a voice breaking at precisely the right places. Perfect, Emily said at last. 8 p.m. Tonight, family website and your social media, simultaneously, at 8 o'clock sharp. The video went live, the headline, a sincere apology and reflection. For the first 5 minutes, the comments were gentle. Wedding stress is real, hang in there. Everyone gets anxious before marriage. At 8:30 p.m., everything changed. An anonymous account uploaded a remixed version of the video. My face was zoomed in, slowed down, layered with distorted echo effects. The subtitles were altered. I'm mentally ill. I can't control my jealousy. Sophia is the real love. I'm just an obstacle. Please don't abandon me. Under the original video, Sophia's verified account liked the post. 10 minutes later, the like was removed, but screenshots had already spread everywhere. My alumni group exploded. Is Evelyn actually unstable? No wonder the Grants demanded that prenup. Stay away, crazy people are dangerous. A high school friend, Lisa, messaged me privately. Do you need help? I replied, no. Just save all the screenshots. After hours trading, our family company's stock dropped 05. My father called close to midnight. His voice hoarse with rage. You can't even apologize properly? Can't you just be normal for once? Do you know how much that 0.5% costs? I listened quietly. My fingers moved fast across my laptop, tracing IP addresses, mapping repost chains. The anonymous account's original upload IP resolved to an upscale apartment in the Upper East Side. Sophia's address. Screenshot saved, archived to the encrypted drive. The counterattack map unfolded in my mind. Step 1. Let them believe I've surrendered. Step 2. Collect every fragment. Step 3. Wait until they step into the spotlight. Convince they've already won. Then, turn off the lights and let them fall in the dark. 1 week after my release, I asked Lucas to meet me at a cafe in Central Park. I wore the pale blue dress he liked best. High ponytail, the one he once praised as sweet and innocent. No makeup, just lip balm. Lucas, I sat down and tears fell immediately. I was wrong. He froze for half a second, then smiled. The smile of a man who believed he'd finally broken something in. Evelyn, I loved you too much. I was terrified of losing you. I sobbed, shoulders trembling at an angle I'd practiced repeatedly. When I saw how good you were to Sophia, I just lost control. But now I understand. Love is tolerance. It's trust. He reached out and held my hand. You've finally grown up, he sighed. I was hard on you for your own good as the future lady of the Grant family. You need grace. I know. I lowered my head. So, I'm willing to sign the prenup, every condition. I accept them all. His eyes lit up. The next day, the lawyers arrived. An 87-page prenuptial asset consolidation and authorization agreement. Lucas's attorney flipped quickly to the key sections. Here, and here your assets will all be transferred into a jointly managed pool, with Mr. Grant as primary authorizing party. And here another page. Post-marriage, trust fund decisions will require mutual consent, but Mr. Grant retains final voting authority. And here yet another. If the marriage ends due to your material fault, including but not limited to mental instability or infidelity, you automatically waive all claims to shared assets. I signed each page. My handwriting was steady, no tremor. When we reached the appendix, I pointed to clause 37. What does this cross-authorization clause mean? The clause read, to safeguard mutual trust, both parties agree that if either party commits a material breach or acts against shared interests, the other party shall automatically gain access to all digital assets, encrypted files, and private communications of the breaching party for a period of 90 days, for purposes of review and protection. Lucas's attorney explained, standard clause, prevents hidden assets or misconduct. Oh. I nodded, then looked at Lucas. so you'll sign it too, right? It's mutual. Lucas glanced at it, shrugged, of course. He took the pen and signed. The sound of ink against paper was like a blade leaving its sheath. What he didn't notice was the footnote I'd added late the previous night. Material breach includes but is not limited to concealing substantive emotional relationships prior to marriage, misuse of spousal assets to support third parties, collusion with third parties to obtain control of a spouse's trust or property. The footnote was buried in legal jargon, like a mine planted deep underground. After the signing ceremony, Sophia just happened to pass by the law firm. She looped her arm through Lucas's and smiled at me. "I'm so happy for you, Evelyn," she said sweetly. "You finally understood next to real love. Jealousy is so insignificant." I lowered my gaze. "Yes, I understand now. See you at the wedding." She leaned in, her perfume overwhelming. "Oh, and I'll be wearing a pale blue gown. It matches Lucas's eyes. You don't mind, do you?" "I don't," I said. They exchanged a knowing smile. When they left, I returned to my car and opened an encrypted email. To Vivian Lee. Subject: Initiate, body, 37. 5 minutes later, a reply arrived. Footnote confirmed, access channel open. Phase 1 in position. Vivian Lee, my summer law classmate from law school. Out of 60 students, only 2 were women, her and me. On graduation night, we drank until dawn, she'd said. This world was built by men, but we can learn how to dismantle it. And then, I'd asked. She smiled. Then we build our own. She was now one of the top cybersecurity and financial law consultants in the country. Specialty: finding bombs hidden in contracts or planting them. Back-end access to my trust fund began shifting, like a pawn quietly crossing the river on a chessboard. On the surface, Lucas still had control. But what he didn't know was this. Every login, every transaction, every command generated a mirrored copy, transmitted in real time to my encrypted server. And once the cross-authorization clause was triggered, I would legally gain access to everything. Emails, chat histories, encrypted files, hidden accounts, all the filth. 48 hours before the wedding, by tradition, the bride and groom weren't supposed to see each other. Lucas was at his family estate rehearsing his vows, the speech he delivered to 200 guests. Sophia posted on social media a photo of a white gown hanging in a hotel suite, caption: preparing for the most important day. My phone buzzed nonstop. Family group chat: Evelyn, remember hair and makeup at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Wedding planner. Final confirmation: ivory flowers, not pure white. My mother: don't be nervous, you'll be the most beautiful bride. I replied to every message, docile and polite. Then I turned off my phone and opened my laptop. I logged into the SEC anonymous whistleblower portal, uploaded file package 7749, contents. Complete transaction records showing the Grant family funneling profits through Cayman Islands shell companies 2019 to 2023. Total: $870 million. Unreported, abnormal fund transfers between Lucas's personal accounts and the state legislator's campaign 6 transfers, totaling $1.2 million. Labeled consulting fees, money laundering pathway involving my trust fund, my money, luxury gifts for Sophia, resale, cash into shell corporations. Email and message records recovered from Lucas's partially deleted draft folders restored by Vivian. The evidence chain was clean. The timeline airtight. I clicked submit. The screen displayed, report received, case ID, Sec 77 for 9K. Preliminary review typically requires 2- for weeks. I cleared my browser history and shut the laptop. At 9 p.m., the first tremor hit. The Grant family CFO called Lucas nonstop. What audit notice? Who initiated this? Why are they demanding 5 years of offshore account records? Lucas's voice roared from his study, audible even through the door. How could this happen? Didn't I tell you everything was clean? Sophia tried to soothe him softly. Maybe it's a competitor. Shut up. Something shattered. Get the legal team here. Now. No one sleeps until this is fixed. Footsteps, slamming doors, hushed arguments. I sat at my vanity and slowly painted my nails, crimson red, like blood, like a warning, reflected in the mirror. My face looked unfamiliar, calm. When you stop fearing loss, you gain everything. At 3 a.m., Vivian messaged me. SEC has opened a preliminary investigation. 3 primary grant accounts temporarily frozen. Internal audit team arrives in the morning. Perfect timing, I replied. What about the wedding? It goes on as planned. You're sure? I looked out the window. New York's night sky rarely had stars. The stage is set. I typed. The audience is seated. It's time for the leads to perform the final act. 6 a.m. My mother burst into my room. Her eyes were bloodshot. She clearly hadn't slept. Evelyn, something's wrong. Her voice trembled. There are financial issues on the grant side. Your father says the wedding might what? I asked calmly. Might need to be postponed. She grabbed my hand. But you can't say anything. The media's already alerted. Guests are flying in today. If we cancel now, both families are finished. Then don't cancel, I said. She froze. What? Didn't Dad always say it? I smiled. Family honor above everything. Even if the sky falls, the wedding must look perfect. She stared at me for a long moment, then nodded. Good, good. You've finally grown up. The wedding gown hung deep inside the closet. Pure white, untouched. I brushed my fingers over the lace. Tomorrow, it wouldn't be a dress. It would be armor. Outside St. Patrick's Cathedral. Cameras lined the steps. Headlines had been scheduled days ago. Dynastic union. The Turner-Grant wedding of the decade. Inside memos told a different story. At breakfast, my father said without looking at me, when the priest asks if there's any lawful reason these two should not be married, Lucas will raise his hand. My knife paused mid-cut. And then, he continued, he'll explain that your mental state is unstable and requires treatment. The marriage will be postponed. So today isn't a wedding, I said, setting my utensils down. It's my public execution. This is for your own good. My mother sobbed. The grants promised if you cooperate, they'll send you to the best facility. Once you recover, the wedding can still happen. Recover? I laughed softly. Do you really believe I'm sick? Silence. Finally, my father spoke. Evelyn, family interests come before individuals after today. You'll be taken care of and the family will have grant support. It's a win-win. Win-win. I lose my life. They gain leverage. That was the deal. Inside the cathedral, flowers rose like walls. The pews were full. Murmurs rippled. Apology video. Mental issues. Poor rich girl. I was brought in through the side entrance. The bridesmaid's path. At the center of the aisle, Sophia stood in an ivory gown, crystals sewn into the train, sparkling under the lights. Her dress was almost the same color as mine. Up close, I noticed the brooch on her chest, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds, my grandmother's. My mother had said yesterday, I can't find it. Sophia followed my gaze and smiled. Borrowed it, she whispered. You won't be needing it anymore. Lucas stood at the altar, tall, handsome, composed, like a man about to receive a medal. My mother adjusted my veil one last time. Smile, she murmured. For the family? I looked at her. If today they declare me insane and lock me away forever, I asked quietly, would you come see me? Her fingers froze. Tears spilled. Evelyn, don't. No need to answer. I turned. The music began. Here comes the bride. I stepped onto the aisle. Each step felt like walking on blades. Eyes followed me, curious, pitying, gleeful. Whispers floated up. So sad. They say she's unstable. The Grants are saints for still marrying her. At the altar, Lucas extended his hand. It was warm, dry. It once made me feel safe. Now it made me nauseous. The priest began, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of God and these witnesses, to join Lucas Grant and Evelyn Turner in holy matrimony. I inhaled and let go of Lucas's hand. Before the ceremony continues, my voice echoed through the cathedral microphone. I have something I'd like everyone to see. Lucas frowned. Evelyn, don't do this. I pressed the micro remote hidden inside my bouquet. Behind the altar, the massive screen lit up. Image 1. The Maldives private island reservation email. A collective gasp. Image 2. Luxury invoices paid from my trust to Sophia. 27 pages. Scrolling. Image 3. Chat logs between Lucas and Sophia. Restored from backups. Lucas? She's just a stepping stone. Once I control her trust, we're free. Sophia. Did you ever love me? Lucas. You have passion. She has money. Image 4. Video footage from Pinewood Psychiatric Center. Me being forced to sign the evaluation consent. Image 5. Sophia's background report. Legal name. Sophia Lynn. 3 prior aliases. Actual age. 32. Claimed 26. Occupation. Not fashion designer, but high-end escort. Documented involvement with Lucas's father's mistress. Image 6. SEC confirmation notice. Case Sec 77 for 9K. Image 7. Bank alert issued at 7 o'clock a.m. Grant family liquidity failure warning. The cathedral went dead silent. Then it exploded. Reporters surged forward. Security barely held them back. Flashbulbs fired like white lightning. Sophia screamed, "That's fake. Turn it off. Turn it off." She lunged for the console, tripped, and fell onto the aisle. Her veil slid off. Lucas's face strained, then flushed purple. He rushed toward me, eyes wild. "You're insane. Do you know what you've done? I'll destroy you. I'll make sure you can't survive in New York." 2 guards restrained him. He thrashed and howled like a trapped animal. I picked up the fallen microphone. My voice was calm. 3 years ago, at a charity gala, Lucas Grant approached me. He said I was the most special girl he'd ever met. 2 years of dating. 1 year engaged. I thought it was love, until I learned what special meant. Specially easy to deceive. My trust fund was the last protection my late mother left me. He turned it into a credit card for his mistress. My family, the people I thought were my shelter, tied my hands and handed me over. Today, I'm not standing here as a bride. I'm standing here as a person who refuses to be priced, traded, or defined as someone's wife or daughter. I lifted my hands and removed the veil. The ivory fabric drifted down, covering the fallen sapphire brooch. The engagement is terminated. From this moment forward, I sever all legal, emotional, and moral ties with Lucas Grant, the Grant family, and the Turner family. I looked toward the front row. My father sat collapsed, gray-faced. My mother covered her face, sobbing. I didn't pause. I turned and walked down the aisle. No music. Only shudders, gasps, curses, and crying. The aisle was long, but it didn't end at the altar. It ended at the cathedral doors and the bright New York sky beyond. 3 days after the wedding disaster, the legal notices arrived. 3 envelopes, neatly stacked on my kitchen table. The first was from the Turner family's attorneys, due to Ms. Evelyn Turner's public actions causing severe reputational and financial damage to the family. The Family Council has resolved to suspend all trust benefits currently allocated to her and initiate a mental capacity review process to determine whether a legal guardian should be appointed. I read it twice. No anger, just clarity. The second came from the Grant family's legal team. On behalf of Mr. Lucas Grant and affiliated Grant family entities, we hereby file a civil lawsuit against Ms. Evelyn Turner for defamation, disclosure of trade secrets, and malicious reporting. Claimed damages, $300 million. I almost laughed. The third was from a tabloid media company. We have obtained information regarding your chaotic private life prior to the wedding. Photographic evidence attached. If you wish to prevent publication, please contact us within 24 hours to discuss a reputation management arrangement. Plain blackmail. Vivian moved into my short-term rental that night. "They're trying to bury you with procedure," she said, spreading documents across the table. "These cases can drag on for years. During that time, your assets get frozen, your name gets smeared. Eventually, you're forced to settle or go broke." "But they missed something," I said. "What?" I pulled out the prenup appendix, Clause 37, the cross-authorization clause. "Lucas signed this," I said, tapping his signature. "And per the footnote definition, his behavior already qualifies as a material breach." Vivian's eyes sharpened. "So the clause triggers," she said slowly. "You legally gain access to all of his digital assets for 90 days, and he's been too busy putting out fires to revoke access or clean data." We didn't sleep for 3 nights. Inside Lucas's encrypted cloud storage, we found records of his father bribing multiple state officials, a complete scheme outlining how the Grant family manipulated subsidiary stock prices, detailed plans showing how the marriage was meant to secure control over my trust fund, and then the email that made my hands go cold. From my father to Lucas's father, sent the day before my engagement. As discussed, once Evelyn marries into your family, her trust will automatically enter joint management. Upon confirmation, your promised $30 million capital injection will be released to stabilize our liquidity situation. As a gesture of good faith, I've attached copies of the relevant asset documentation in advance, attached files, my full trust agreement, account numbers, even my psychological counseling records from high school, twisted into evidence of emotional instability. My father had sold me, with a price tag, like a building, like a car. I printed the email and stared at it for a long time. The paper was light. It felt suffocating. Vivian asked quietly, "Are you okay?" "I should be devastated," I said, "but I'm not. I just feel cold." "That's anger frozen solid," she said. "When it melts, it'll hurt. Then let it stay frozen." I scanned the email. archived it, and we prepared the counterclaims based on evidence legally obtained under Clause 37, full-proof chain of Grant family financial crimes, bribery records involving Lucas and his father, documentation proving intent to commit marital and financial fraud, and against the Turners. My father's company had been bleeding cash for 3 years due to reckless personal investments. He used my marriage as collateral to plug the hole if exposed. He wouldn't just lose me. He'd lose control of the company, and possibly his freedom. The night before the first court hearing, my mother called Evelyn. "Come home," she said softly. "We can start over, start over?" I repeated. "From where? From the moment you sent me to the sanatorium? Or the moment you sold me to the Grants?" Silence. "I love you," she whispered. "I really do." "Love isn't something you say," I replied. "It's something you do. And everything you did told me one thing, that I mattered only for my usefulness." I hung up, blocked the number, outside. New York's lights burned through the night, witnesses to betrayal and to rebirth. The courtroom battles lasted 2 months. Media coverage shifted from runaway bride meltdown to elite family scandal exposed. The SEC findings were released publicly. The Grant family was formally charged with large-scale tax fraud and securities violations. Preliminary fines were estimated at $400 million. Criminal referrals were transferred to federal prosecutors. At the second hearing, Lucas's father was hospitalized for a cardiac episode. Whether real or strategic, no one knew. Most assumed it was to avoid testifying. My father's company didn't survive the fallout. The stock plunged 45. The board forced him out as CEO. My brother was appointed interim head. 1 week later, tabloids broke a drug use scandal involving him. The company spiraled into deeper chaos. The settlement meeting with the Grants took place in a federal mediation room. Their lead attorney spoke first. "My clients will withdraw all lawsuits and issue a public apology," he said, "on the condition that Ms. Turner retract her SEC report and sign a permanent non-disclosure agreement." My attorney, recommended by Vivian, one of the best litigators in the city, smiled. "My client will not retract the report," she said. "But she is willing to agree not to proactively provide additional evidence to the media if your clients meet the following terms." She slid over the list. Conditions: a written public apology admitting orchestration of marital fraud, full restitution of my trust principal and accrued income, plus $20 million in punitive damages, a signed confession from Lucas acknowledging his relationship with Sophia and misuse of assets, permanent and complete removal of any Grant family member from my trust management. The Grant attorney's face strained. "That's impossible." "Then prepare for criminal indictment," my lawyer replied calmly. "Also, we're ready to file charges for psychological abuse and unlawful confinement." The sanatorium footage is preserved. The Grants left the room to make calls. 30 minutes later, they returned. "We accept." The Turner family settlement was simpler. My father didn't attend, he sent lawyers. Terms: my trust fund fully separated from family control, under my sole authority, formal transfer of my 5% corporate stake, with full rights to retain or sell, a signed declaration admitting that my parents harmed my interests for personal gain and waiving all future claims, my removal from the family inheritance line, along with full exemption from family debts. The lawyer asked, "Do you want to pursue criminal charges? We have evidence of unlawful detention." I thought for a long time. "No," I said. "Let them live and watch. Watch how the family honor they traded their daughter for collapses." The day the final documents were signed, the sun was bright. Vivian walked with me out of the courthouse. Reporters crowded the steps. "Ms. Turner, how do you feel now? Do you regret exposing everything? What's next for you?" I stopped. Cameras locked onto me. I used to believe my value depended on who loved me, who married me, who approved of me, I said. Now I know my value is defined by me. As for what's next, I glanced at Vivian. She nodded. "My partner and I will be launching a consulting firm focused on asset protection, legal advocacy, and recovery for women, because I know I wasn't the only one." Flashbulbs erupted. This time, they didn't hurt. 3 years later, financial headlines read, "Grant family files for bankruptcy protection. Asset liquidation expected to take 5 years." A smaller caption added, "Former heir Lucas Grant reportedly sells cars in rural Montana, divorced, no custody of children." The society pages followed up. Sophia Lynn marries a 70-year-old tycoon, separates 8 months later, alimony claim denied. Judge cites lack of good faith in marriage. At industry events, people whispered, "That's Evelyn Turner now, Evelyn T. Lee. She and her partner run Shield Blade Consulting. Heard she helped a tech founder recover $800 million in a divorce last year. Is she married? Does she need to be? She has an empire. Our third office sat in Midtown Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Central Park in every season. Today, we signed the lease for our fifth overseas branch. To us. Vivian raised her glass. Two girls once mocked for studying corporate law. Champagne clinked. Oh, by the way, she added, your father's company was acquired last week. Price? 1/10 of its peak. Your mother's renting in Florida now. I nodded, some wounds healed best unopened. That evening, I walked alone through Central Park. Autumn leaves glowed gold. An elderly couple sat on a bench, hands intertwined, watching the sunset. I smiled at them and walked on. My phone buzzed. A new client inquiry. Ms. Turner. I've discovered my husband has hidden accounts. What should I do? I typed back. First, breathe. Second, gather evidence. Third, remember this isn't your fault. And you don't have to be afraid. Send. The sun dipped behind the skyline, bathing the city in gold. I was no longer anyone's daughter. Anyone's fiancée, anyone's victim. I was Evelyn. I built my own walls and left my windows open. Wind can enter. Rain can enter. Light can enter. But those who tried to cage me never will again.